Okay, so there is another Reforged update video
Moving to Unreal
from
Engine
Wargaming.
changed everything for Blitz.
This one is about
now we have the power to improve graphics,
physics.
effects, and physics.
So let's have a look at what's happening.
After the last test, we received a huge wave of feedback from you. We listened, we analyzed, and we've made changes to the things that raised the most questions.
Okay, let's see what the
And
changes
thanks
are.
to the new engine, we can respond faster and do more. We've made a lot of visual improvements, many of them subtle, but all of them important.
Okay, so there were some issues with the
New
visuals.
grass, more detailed outlines,
Trying to make the game
dynamic
more
shadows,
visually appealing, that's fine.
upgraded textures, new fire and smoke effects. Together, they create a richer visual experience and make battles feel more immersive. Our goal is to keep the look and feel you're used to, but make it even better.
Let's make it better.
During the last round of testing, we collected your feedback and used it to fine-tune some of the changes.
What are the
One of the
changes?
concerns raised during the previous test was FPS drops. We've already made several improvements
Yeah,
to
yep.
performance,
I
and
didn't
we'll be testing
personally
them in the
experience
upcoming
any
Ultra test.
FPS drops.
It's still a work in progress, and optimizing performance across all devices
Good news, they
remains
are
one of our
addressing it.
top
There's
priorities.
nothing worse than a
Your
bit of
feedback and
FPS
test data play
droppage.
a key role in helping us get there. Some players noticed that the image looked blurry in certain moments. We've adjusted the settings and visual parameters. That blur effect
Really
is
looking
now
at the
gone.
scenery, to be fair, but again...
Another point of feedback was the color scheme of the battle UI.
Oh, the colour scheme
It
was
felt
awful.
unfamiliar and too bright. We've brought back the classic colors. Green for allies, red for enemies.
Okay, a change that we will all notice. The other stuff affected a few players, FPS drops and some blurry images. But yes, the colour scheme on the previous update was absolutely awful. But it's good that green and red are returning. But it doesn't look like any change to the font, which was certainly another issue that some players had, which did make things difficult to read and look a bit cartoony. But at least we've got the colours back.
We've also improved how the HP bar responds to damage.
Okay, yeah.
It's much clearer and more readable than in the previous.
Much clearer now on how much damage you have inflicted. Again, the font for me is a bit, I don't know, just doesn't feel right. But nevertheless, that is much better.
This test. Some players found certain UI elements, like status notifications and ribbons, too small. We've improved their readability.
Okay, I mean, that doesn't really affect the gameplay too much. Ribbons popping up when you've done something, but it does let players know that they are doing good things. And I just heard a snippet of Gordon's voice there in the background. Let's see what's happening with Gordon.
Mobile players asked for more control over the interface, especially the ability to move command buttons. We're fixing that.
Yep, okay, I know some players had problems
To keep
with that.
things familiar, national voiceovers will stay enabled by default.
Whoa, stop. Okay, so fingers and thumbs not long enough or short enough. Yep, so change the interface. But let's just take this back because I think he's just said that national crew voices are with us. There's national voices, look, on the title.
National voiceovers will stay enabled by default. But if you're curious to try something new, you can now switch to commander voiceovers in the settings whenever you like.
Brilliant. So default is the traditional crew voices that we have all come to love and know. But if you want to listen to Gordon talk absolute garbage throughout the battle, then you can choose to do so. But what that means is that commanders are still in the game. It looks like they're staying. In what form other than the voices, I'm not quite sure. But it would suggest that the crew skills system is also still on the chopping block. And commanders are going to come into the game. But let's wait and see what that actually looks like. The good news is you don't have to listen to their nonsense if you don't want to. Hey, brittle hat.
The physics system has been completely reworked. In the past, it was simplified. Now, it's fully simulated, with real friction, sliding, and track-to-surface interaction.
Okay, so some realism as much as you can have in a video game for tank movement, which I'm sure is going to be an improvement.
Tank movement now behaves much closer to how real vehicles respond.
Oh, there we go.
But at the same time, we're keeping the gameplay dynamic and fun, with a few smart compromises. For example, tanks can flip, but they'll always land back on their tracks.
Okay, that's one to watch. You can roll your tank over.
At first, the new physics might feel unusual, but very quickly you'll start to notice the positives.
I'm sure
better
players
control,
in fun
more
mode
weight,
are
more
going to
immersion.
enjoy that one.
And if something gets in the way of fun, we'll keep tuning it based on your feedback. For example, some players noticed a drop in speed during turns or tank behavior
that was
fell
terrible.
off. We are already adjusting individual
slowing right down
parameters to bring back that familiar blitz handling. We've seen comments saying that tanks feel slower in the Reforged update.
They were
We looked
indeed.
into it, and yes, there was a difference. We've
Okay.
adjusted it, and now tanks move at the same speed.
Good,
you're
another
used to.
improvement. They've returned to the normal mobility
Some players
dynamics.
mention that aiming and camera movement feel different, even with the same settings and sensitivity. We've made a number of improvements in this area to make the experience smoother and more responsive. You'll be able to test these changes yourself and share your updated feedback.
Okay, so that's all good news, and that's what the test was about, really. Does the game play and feel the same as it did before? But of course, we all got annoyed by the visual changes in terms of the UI and all that kind of stuff. But this is all good news. It might actually feel like you're playing World of Tanks Blitz when this next update comes out.
We've added a new armor penetration highlight system. It's more intuitive and helps quickly assess whether a shot is likely to go through. If you want to try it out or explore the combined mode, you can switch between all available options in the settings.
Okay, again, this is good news because the traditional players out there at the moment know how the armor system works. If it's red, you are not going to penetrate it. But they flipped that on the Reforged update based on feedback that they'd received from other games or players where in other games you shoot at the red bit to penetrate it, and that was absolutely nonsense for World of Tanks Blitz. But now at least you have the choice to select which mechanism you prefer, and as you can see there's a combined version that highlights bits in green which are penetratable as well. So again, you're given the choice, and if you're a traditional player, then you can leave it as it is, or indeed you can switch it around as you see fit. Again, that's good news.
These changes aren't final. We're continuing to improve the game, and your feedback is a key part of that process. We want to test all of this together with you. Join the Open Ultra test and tell us what you think. Your opinion matters. We're building this game together.
Okay, this is also good news. There is another test coming, Ultra test, and from what I've been informed, and I've mentioned this in another video on some of the other changes that are happening, you don't have to be anybody specific or special in the wargaming community, a contributor, a press account, or anything like that. The Ultra test is, as far as I'm aware, going to be open. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and then you can log into the new version of the game and try out the updates that they've made. And I think this is very clear that they are listening. So if there's anything in that update that you're not happy with, make sure you feed it back in, because clearly changes have been made. Still a couple of things that some of us are not sure about. Commanders is still the annoying little itch that won't go away. But let's see what that looks like in the next test. So there we go.